Plaintiff Melissa Zimmer met the defendant in high school, and they reconnected after Melissa's divorce. Melissa claims they only dated for a month because one night when they were getting hot and heavy, the defendant left to buy condoms, and he never came back. Melissa is suing him today for an unpaid loan. Defendant Chris Pappas admits that he never returned to Melissa's home after leaving to buy condoms, but says that's because he realized she was promiscuous and he didn't want to get involved with her. Chris says he hasn't spoken to Melissa in years, so he believed his debt had been forgiven.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
Tell me what happened.
I've known Chris Pappas since high school. We lost touch over the years. I ran into him at Oktoberfest in 2003. We dated shortly and then became friends after that. At one point, he had asked me for a loan for his mortgage and truck payments.
How long after dating him?
Oh, well, we were dating for only a month or so. That didn't last very long. We became friends after that. Because at one point I saw a side of Chris that I didn't really like.
Like what?
For example, one night when we were initially dating, we were hanging out at my house and, making out on the couch a little bit. And things got a little hot and heavy. And at one point we needed a condom. So with no condoms available, he offered to go to the store. And I was like, I'm waiting for him to come back. I'm like, yay, I'm going to get, because I was going through a divorce. I was like, doing the little happy dance. I'm going to get some, because it had been quite a while. And because I'd come through a bad marriage. And so as I was waiting, and he never came back. I went from being horny to being angry, from being horny to being worried to being angry. And then 3 days later, I finally got in touch with him. Yeah, so
3 days
kind of
later.
the end of the dating portion of our relationship.
What did he tell you? Just curious. So they didn't have any, had been shopping around? You went from
maybe
store
not
to
his
store?
size. I actually, maybe I'm blocking it out because it was so mortifying.
Was that what happened? Tell me about this.
Come on, am I that bad, really?
Right.
I was coming off of a divorce, and she was very promiscuous, so I chose not to come back.
What you thought of that when at what point did you determine that? Was it before you started making out with her on the couch?
No,
or
before
when you got to the cash register to pay for the condoms?
I never even went to the cash register. Just when I left, that's just what I was going through my head. I just wanted to be more friends. It wasn't really working out for me.
All right.
So he just lied. That was all.
You should have called me.
That's right. You might have a point. How long had it been?
Too long.
It had been too long?
Or you almost forget how much fun sex is with somebody else.
Yeah, well, that's a time a lot of men like to show up. But go ahead. But it's been a long time. All right.
I was vulnerable because of the bad marriage, and my self-esteem was probably low, and he could be very, very charming. He's a player and says the right things.
So how long did your friendship last before you determined that this wasn't working out either?
Well, and only until the past few years when I was really needing the money that he owes me. Okay. He did make one payment.
Let me allow him to give some background before we get into the specifics of the loan, sir.
First of all, I met her in high school, and I knew her since then, and I used to always refer to her as man's best friend because, as she's saying, she's with a lot of men. And that's kind of what was in my mind while I left and never came back.
Where do you get your information? Where do you get all this? She said she hadn't done anything since marriage.
This is from high school, knowing her. That's what I'm referring to. And anyways, we were really good friends after that, and we hung out, and she's a lot of fun to be with, and I really enjoyed my time with her. She's a good person, and it just didn't work out, as that beyond friends, and that's all it is, simple, just the chemistry wasn't there for that.
It obviously worked out enough to borrow some money. Tell me about that.
Well, because we were friends and we hung out quite a bit.
What month and year?
Pardon me?
What month and year did he come to you for a loan?
In April of 2004.
All right.
And, and because...
What was the agreement?
The agreement was that he was supposed to pay me back in 2 lump sums. He was waiting for payment from his
How much was the amount? I don't think
$7,000 was
$7,000. He was going to pay you when?
in two lump sums within 2 months because he got paid monthly.
No, that's wrong.
Go ahead. Then what happened?
And because of one thing or another, because like I said, he uses a broker for his for his trucking, and they were putting him off. So
Don't
he was
give me the
putting
story
me
he
off.
gave you. Now, just tell me how much did he pay you?
He's paid me $1,000 of the $7,000.
All right, sir. What do you want to tell me?
The thing is, I told her I would try to pay her $1,000 a month because I get paid once a month, and my business really slowed down from 6 days a week to 2 days a week. And having a mortgage and all my business expense and everything else, I was financially unable to pay her back. I would have loved to have paid her back, but I just was
When
not
is the
able to
last
do it.
time you made a payment?
I guess in 2004. Yeah.
All right, ma'am.
I haven't talked to her in
when
many
did-
years.
The last
was-
payment was in May of 2006.
Yeah, that's the
All
last
right.
time I probably talked to her.
And when did you determine he wasn't going to pay you anymore? He had given you some money in 06. Did it take you a minute before
I
you
had moved out of
determined?
state, which was part of the problem. I'd moved out of state, and I couldn't afford to fly back to serve him papers.
When did you
or to,
determine he had breached the contract?
After I received this in May 2006.
Let's see.
This is a note that was enclosed in this envelope, which has the post date on it.
And what is this?
Also, the canceled check is in there. That's a note from him promising to pay me. This is a new agreement.
When was he supposed to complete payment on the new agreement?
After 6 months, because he
And
promised to pay me
what
$1,000.
month and year would that have been?
November.
All right. And after that,
2006.
when did you conclude he had breached that agreement? The reason it's important, because you're way beyond the statute of limitations.
I understand
And the
that.
statute begins to toll at the time you believe a person has breached the agreement. That's why the
Correct.
date of the breach is important.
November 2006, I would say.
And what state you live in?
Washington now,
Washington. And where was the agreement made?
California.
Okay, having some knowledge of California law, I know it's 4 years. You came within 26 days. 26 days from now, you would have been out of luck. Glad you made it in 26
Yay,
days
Greg
early.
Mathis for president.
Just before the flight. Have a good day.
Thank you. I want to give Chris a hug.
I want to go buy a condom.
Oh, come here. Oh, I miss you, Pappy.
I'm glad we can still be friends.
And
I'm glad
in my
it's all right.
evidence folder, I have the other set of worry beads that my mom had
Okay.
gotten, and I'd like you to have those.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad it's all good because I haven't seen her in quite a while, about 3 or 4 years, so it's nice.